Today's lesson is fruit tarts. The first thing to do is make the dough for the base of the tart, called sweet paste or pâte sucrée. To start, add room temperature butter, sugar, vanilla extract, and salt to your mixing bowl. Use the paddle attachment. Cream these together at medium speed just until they are combined. You don't want to cream too much, as this incorporates too much air, which can cause the dough to spread too much in the oven. Once the ingredients are combined, scrape down the bowl. Now add in the egg. Mix this again on medium speed. At first the mixture will look curdled, but it will come together. If you're adding more eggs in a larger recipe, you would add them in stages. Scrape down the bowl as you mix. The eggs are mixed in properly when it looks like one homogeneous mixture. Sift your pastry flour into a bowl. Add baking powder to this as well. Add this all at once to the butter mixture. Then add your milk as well. Mix on low speed just to combine. If you mix too much at this point, you will develop too much gluten, which will make for a tough tart crust. Turn the dough out onto your table. Flatten the dough slightly, then divide in half. This is half a recipe from your manual, so it will yield enough for 2 tart shells. Press each half of the dough into a flat circle. Then wrap in saran. This will be chilled at least 20 minutes until it firms up enough to roll without sticking to the table. The next step is to make the pastry cream filling. Rinse your saucepan with cold water before adding the milk. This will help prevent the milk from burning to the bottom of the pot. Pour out the water. Before you start, divide the milk as per the instructions in your manual. Put cream, and the larger amount of milk in the saucepan. Add in sugar. Cut a vanilla bean in half. Then open each half and run the blade of your paring knife down the length of the vanilla bean. This will release the vanilla seeds. Put these in with your milk and cream. You can even put the entire emptied vanilla pod in as well if you want added flavor, but remember to strain it out afterward. Whisk this well, then turn on the heat and bring to a boil. While you're waiting for it to boil, put cornstarch in a bowl. Add to this milk, then vanilla extract, salt, and eggs. Whisk this together well. The cornstarch and the eggs, when cooked, will thicken the pastry cream. Once the milk and cream mixture has come to a boil, remove from the heat. Place a towel ring under the bowl with the cornstarch mixture to secure it. Slowly temper about half of the hot milk and cream mixture into this. Adding a bit of hot liquid to the room temperature egg mixture will help to equalize the temperatures and prevent curdling of the eggs when they are added back into the pot to cook. Pour everything back into the pot. Put the pot back on medium heat and whisk constantly while bringing the mixture back to a boil. If you don't whisk constantly, the pastry cream can burn to the bottom of the pot. You will notice as you cook that the pastry cream will thicken significantly. Once the pastry cream has boiled, remove from the heat. Line a baking tray or shallow pan with cling wrap. Then pour the pastry cream on top. Spread this out as much as possible. This will help to cool the pastry cream quickly. Cover the surface of the pastry cream with cling wrap so it doesn't develop a skin, then place immediately in the refrigerator to chill. Pastry cream must cool quickly so it does not develop harmful bacteria. While the pastry cream is chilling, you can begin to roll out the chilled pastry dough for the crust. Knead the dough very gently to soften it just slightly. Dust the table very lightly with flour. Then put the dough down on top. And add a bit of dusting flour to the top of the dough as well. Begin to roll the dough once or twice from the center of the dough up and the center down. Then once diagonally to one side and once diagonally to the other. Lift the dough, give it a quarter turn, then swirl it a bit in the flour to ensure it doesn't stick to the table. Make sure to keep pushing it back into a rounded shape. Continue to roll and give quarter turns as you roll. Roll until the dough is about 2 inches larger than the tart pan and about 1/8 of an inch thick. Once ready, fold the dough over in half. Then place it gently into the tart pan and unfold. Now lift the dough, letting it fall into the bottom sides of the tart pan. You can also use an aluminum pie plate for this as well. Push the dough with your fingers so it presses right into the bottom edge of the pan. Roll the rolling pin right over top of the entire pan to remove the excess dough. This dough can be saved for part of another tart shell or rolled out and cut as cookies. Use your fingers to push the dough up so it extends about 1/8 of an inch above the tart pan. This is so that if there's a bit of shrinkage of the dough in the oven, it will not go below the lip of the tart. Dock the bottom of the tart shell with a fork. This will allow the steam to escape when baking, so large air bubbles don't form in the tart shell. Another way to prepare a tart shell is to cut a piece of parchment into a circle slightly larger than the tart pan itself. Crinkle it up to soften it, so it doesn't cut into the dough with sharp edges. Place it into the bottom of the tart shell, pushing it into the bottom edges. Pour baking beans inside right to the top. You can also use pie weights or rice for this as well. This will prevent the dough from bubbling and shrinking in the oven. Bake the shells at 375 Fahrenheit until golden brown. Once the tart shell is out of the oven and cooling to room temperature, you can start melting a small amount of coating chocolate over a water bath of barely simmering water. Stir often as you're melting. Get the baked tart shell. The shell should be fully baked because the pastry cream filling going inside is already cooked and needs no time in the oven. Remove the shell gently from the tart tin. If you want to place the tart shell on a cake board, use a bit of melted coating chocolate to help adhere it. Put a spoonful or so of melted white coating chocolate into the tart shell. Spread it thinly with a small offset palette knife over the entire base. This will act as a barrier between the pastry cream and the shell, so the moisture of the pastry cream will not make the shell soggy. You can then use a pastry brush to pull some of the chocolate from the bottom up the sides of the tart shell as well. Choose some colorful fruit and berries to decorate your tart. You can use canned fruit, fresh fruit, and berries. Place all of the berries in bowls of cold water to wash them. Lift them all out of the water and drain on paper towel. The strained canned fruit should also be placed on paper towel to absorb excess moisture, as well as fresh fruit like segmented oranges or mandarins. You want as little moisture as possible on the fruit. Secure a cutting board with a wet paper towel. If you choose to use kiwi, first cut the tops and bottoms off. Then use a peeler and peel the sides. This keeps the shape of the kiwi much better than if you peel the skin with a paring knife. Cut the fruit horizontally into slices about 1/8 of an inch thick. If you cut them too thin, they'll dry up very quickly on top of the tart. You can also cut these rounds in half as well if you wish. Place the cut fruit on a tray with slightly damp paper towel. To prepare strawberries, remove the stem by cutting in on an angle all the way around with a paring knife. This is called hulling the strawberries. Slice the berry vertically into slices as thick as you did with the kiwi. Place on the towel-lined sheet tray as well. To cut fruit like peaches or apricots, place the fruit flat side down on the cutting board and cut into slices the same thickness as for the kiwis and strawberries. A small serrated knife is really good for this. Once all the fruit is cut, prepare the filling for spreading. Take the chilled pastry cream from the refrigerator. It will be very thick at this point. Put in the mixer with the paddle attachment. Mix on medium speed just to soften it into spreadable consistency. Place the pastry cream into the prepared shell. Spread with a small offset palette knife until smooth. It should come up to just below the lip of the shell. If it is too high, it will spill over the edges of the shell when the fresh fruit is placed on. The cut fruit should be stored with a barely damp paper towel over top, just to prevent them from drying out. Begin to arrange the fruit artistically on top of the tart, overlapping it slightly. Remember not to place the fruit in blocks on different parts of the tarts, as you want everyone to get the same fruit in each slice. Take your time and make it beautiful. Try to alternate colors to keep it visually interesting. It's a good idea to lightly glaze the fruit tart to add a nice shine to the fruit and help to prevent it from drying out. Apricot glaze or jelly has a very nice taste and looks clear when brushed on top of the fruit. Thin the glaze with a bit of water, and then heat over medium heat, stirring often until it is smooth. You want it to be the consistency of maple syrup. If it is too thick, it will clump on when brushing. Bring just up to a simmer, then turn off the heat. Dip your pastry brush into the glaze and lightly brush glaze all over the fruit. You don't want a thick coating, just enough to protect the fruit and add shine. You can also decorate the sides of the tart with toasted nuts. These almonds were pre-toasted at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 12 minutes until golden, then cooled to room temperature. Crunch them up slightly, then push against the outer edge of the tart, just up until the fruit. Try not to put the nuts directly on top of the fruit, as they will become soggy. You can change the look of each tart with different fruit and berries and different design. It's a great way to be creative. To cut a slice, dip a chef knife into hot water and then dry it off. Cut gently through the tart so the fruit keeps its shape. Make sure the knife is sharp so it slices through the fruit cleanly. And now enjoy your beautiful and delicious work.